Divisive Legend here. Today I'm going to talk about black privilege. Okay, because I hear people talk a lot about white privilege, so I'm going to explain the other side of it. Now, when you look at what people define as white privilege, it's that whites get treated better, they get special treatment because of their race, they're viewed in a much better light than other ethnicities, and they get better opportunities, and they get better legal protections. Now, with that being said, let's talk about black privilege and the same protections that they get, if not more. For one, let's start with the presidency. We just had a black president for 8 years because he was black. That's why he got voted. I remember coming out of the voting areas and people were asking others, did you vote for Obama? And if people said no, then people would pretty much be like, is it because he's black? So a lot of people voted for Obama because they were scared that they would be called a racist. Now, during Obama's presidency, a lot of the race baiting and race rhetoric started to come out more. And the reason why is because Obama's black privilege allowed him to go out and say those things. Let's look at Black Lives Matter. You take the Ku Klux Klan. They are dominantly known as a hate group. Now, if you look at Black Lives Matter, look at their tactics. They promote anti-white sentiment, they promote racism, they attack people for being white, Trump supporters, they attack cities, they burn down cities, they loot, they riot, and they're considered to be a group of activists because the name is Black Lives Matter. If they were the Ku Klux Klan doing all of that, they would be considered to be white supremacists, and they would be considered to be a hate terror group. Now, let's go a little further. Let's talk about opportunities. I have never heard about any government laws or anything being promoted to help promote whites getting jobs. However, I have heard of affirmative action. I personally have used affirmative action to my benefit on more than one occasion. So I can verify that it does exist, as we all know it does, and I can verify that it does allow some bias. It allows people who are less qualified for a job to get in because of their race. Because places have to meet a certain amount of colored people, as my dad calls it. My dad actually said it is the colored quota, or the coon quota, as some other people have called it. My dad says the colored quota. I just call it blacks getting a better opportunity because of their race. Okay, let's look at racism. Let's look at this. The things that I say, if you look at my Black Lives Matter video, I pretty much exposed all of the racism that's in the movement. I talked about the racism. I talked about the problems. There was not a lot of video responses, and there was not a lot of responses of anything at all, really, about me being racist. There was a couple, but if I had been white and said that, my whole page would have blown up with nothing but, hey, you're racist, you're white, you're anti-black, you're racist, you're KKK. And it would have blown up like that because I was white. But because I'm part black, that can't be done to me. Now, let's look a little further into this. Let's look at when the riots, let's compare the riots in Ferguson to the peaceful protest in Oregon. Because I remember everybody was saying, what if they were black? If they were black, the National Guard would have been called. Remember the armed protest in Oregon where they occupied a federal building? They were protesters. They were not rioters. They were not looting. They were not burning things down. The National Guard did not get called because of such. Whereas people were saying, what if they were black? No, it's not if they were black. They weren't rioting. They weren't burning things down. They were exercising their right to protest, and they were exercising their Second Amendment. Blacks talk about... let's talk about the media. Let's go further. Let's talk about how the media covers it. When you look at the black-on-black killings, 13% of the population killing 52%, I honestly believe they're committing a lot more murders than that because there's murders that are not getting reported and murders that are not being solved. But regardless of that point, 13% of the population is committing 52% of the murders. The media rarely ever talks about the black-on-black murder, if at all, really, but we'll say they do, because I've seen it a few times. So they do. But you look at when blacks do it, they don't talk about it. Now, whites are 77% of the population and commit 45% of the murders in the country. The media doesn't talk about that either. But any time a black person is shot by a police officer, it's all over the media. It's up and down. It's a shitstorm on the media. If a white person is shot by police, it is not on the media. And there are whites that are shot by police. In fact, there are more whites shot by police every year than blacks. But they only talk about the blacks as if the black man that was shot is the victim. Well, I just want you guys to think about this before I go, and this will be my last words. If white privilege is so prevalent, why is it that blacks get treated so well comparative to others? Why is it that every time you say something against blacks, you're racist, but if you say it against whites, they say you're telling the truth? That's it. Answer my question in the comment. Make sure to follow me on Twitter. Like, comment, subscribe, and share. Divisive Legend tuning out. Real news, real talk. Peace.